your sweet Zobo here. Buy your sweet and nutritious Zobo drink here. Auntie, I want one. Me too. Okay, here you go. Enjoy your Zobo.
What if the most refreshing drink in the market was actually a death sentence? Meet Miriam. To the village of Kafi, she is a saint. Her Zobo is legendary, her smile infectious, and her stall is the heart of the community. But behind that smile lies a betrayal so profound it fractured her mind. Now, she isn't just serving refreshments, she's serving revenge. One bottle at a time. The secret ingredient. You won't believe it. Is she a victim pushed too far or a monster born of tragedy? Watch until the end to find out. The Kaduna market was a sensory overload of heat, noise and dust, but Miriam's stall was an oasis. Auntie Maya, 2 bottles, a customer shouted, slapping notes onto the counter. Miriam moved with practiced grace, handing over the condensation-slicked bottles. Her Zobo was deep ruby red, perfectly spiced with ginger and cloves. Her kunu was creamy and cold. To the locals, she was a fixture of kindness in a hard world. But the Miriam they saw was a construct. The real Miriam had died 2 years ago in a sterile clinic room. Back then, Miriam had had a life she was proud of, a loving marriage, a home, and a future she was building with Michael, her husband. They had dreams, plans for the future, and Miriam believed in their love. That was until she discovered the truth. Michael had been having an affair with her closest friend, a woman she had trusted like a sister. But the betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was physical. Michael had infected her with HIV. She could still hear his voice in her head when he confessed, cold and indifferent, as if the words went shattering her entire existence. "I didn't mean for this to happen," he had said, his tone flat, as though it were just another mistake, another thing he could brush aside. But it was no mistake. It was the consequence of his selfishness, his lack of care, and his complete disregard for her well-being. He packed his bags and left her to rot, taking her reputation with him. Fleeing the whispers and the stigma, Miriam had started over in Kafi. She built this business from nothing, burying her rage under a veneer of customer service. But as she watched the villagers laugh and drink, a dark thought began to take root. Why should she carry this burden alone? Why should they enjoy the life she was denied? The Zobo in her hand was red. So was the blood running through her veins. In the privacy of her dimly lit apartment, the mask came off. Miriam didn't cry anymore. She schemed. The antiretroviral pill sat on her nightstand, a daily reminder of her tainted status. She looked at her arms, tracing the veins. The isolation was maddening. In Kafi, she was beloved, yet she knew that if they knew the truth, the love would turn to hatred in a heartbeat. They were hypocrites, just like Michael. The idea didn't come as a sudden explosion, but is a cold, logical conclusion. If the world saw her as a biological weapon, she would become one. She started the preparation that night. It wasn't just cooking Zobo anymore. It was a ritual. She sterilized a small blade, then cut herself. She watched the dark crimson fluid drip into a sterile cup. It looked terrifyingly similar to the hibiscus extract she boiled every day. She mixed the test batch. The metallic tang of the blood was completely masked by the heavy ginger and sweetness. It was invisible. Miriam looked at her reflection in the stainless steel pot. She didn't see a sick woman anymore. She saw a judge, jury, and executioner. The first major test was the wedding of the district head's daughter, the biggest event of the year. Miriam was the exclusive drink provider. She worked methodically, mixing her own blood into the massive coolers of Zobo. As she served the guests, her heart hammered against her ribs, not from fear, but from an intoxicating rush of power. She watched the bride, the groom, the elders, people who would never let her into their homes if they knew her status, gladly swallowing her gift. "Best Zobo in the state," the groom declared, raising a toast with her drink. Miriam smiled, a genuine, chilling smile. "Thank you. It's a special recipe." Weeks passed. The effects were not immediate, which was perfect. It allowed her to operate undetected. But soon, the clinic lines grew long. People complained of unshakable fatigue, swollen glands, and fever. The village doctor treated it as malaria, then typhoid. Miriam kept selling. She kept bleeding. She kept smiling. She had effectively turned the entire village into unwilling blood brothers. Daniel, a medical researcher and native of Kafi, returned home to find his village in a state of low-level panic. The sickness wasn't behaving like malaria. It was chronic. He stopped by Miriam's store. "Auntie Mia, you look tired," he noted, his eyes sharp. "Just hard work, doctor," she deflected, wiping the counter. Daniel noticed something odd. Miriam wore long sleeves despite the oppressive heat. When she reached for a bottle, her sleeve rolled up slightly, revealing not just one, but multiple small bandages and bruising on her inner arm. It looked like the arm of a drug addict or someone who drew blood frequently. He took the Zobo she offered, but didn't drink it. He smelt it. Under the cloves, there was a faint iron-like scent, a scent he knew from the lab. That evening, driven by a gnawing suspicion, Daniel went to her house. The door was unlocked. "Miriam?" he called. No answer. He stepped into the kitchen. It was clean, but the trash bin was overflowing with medical waste, gauze, alcohol swabs, and lancets. On the counter sat a fresh batch of Zobo, and next to it a beaker of dark viscous fluid that was unmistakably not hibiscus. He dipped a finger into the beaker and smeared it on a white napkin. It didn't stain pink like hibiscus leaves. It stained rust brown. "It's blood," he whispered, the horror turning his stomach. "You shouldn't be here, Daniel." He spun around. Miriam stood in the doorway holding a heavy ladle. She didn't look scared. She looked relieved. Daniel didn't back down. "You are poisoning them. You are infecting them intentionally." "I'm sharing my burden," Miriam said flat. "Why should I die alone while they laugh?" Daniel bolted past her, grabbing the beaker as evidence. He ran straight to the local police station and the health clinic. The rapid test on the substance confirmed his worst fears: HIV-positive blood. The revelation hit the village like a bomb. The police, accompanied by a furious mob, stormed Miriam's house. She didn't run. She was sitting on her floor, waiting. As they handcuffed her, the mob screamed for her head. They smashed her pots and tore down her store. The saint of Kathy was paraded through the streets as a monster. At the trial, the statistics were read out. The infection rate in Kathy had skyrocketed. Miriam pleaded guilty without hesitation. When asked if she had any remorse, she looked at the gallery of sick, angry villagers. "I gave you the sweetest parts of me, and now we are all the same." Miriam was sentenced to life imprisonment. The village of Kafi eventually recovered, but the psychological scar remained. No one in the town drank Zobo again. Every time they saw a bottle of red liquid, they didn't think of refreshment. They thought of Auntie Mia and the sweetness that concealed a death sentence.